Welcome to West Country Wanderings and welcome to one of my canal ones. You're probably thinking canal, it looks like a railway station behind you. Well, yes it is. I am in the delightful city of Hereford and it's one of my rare city explores here on West Country Wanderings. I don't come into cities very often. But the reason I've come here to Hereford today, I've just caught the train, and more about that in a bit, how I've got here. It's quite an interesting little journey. We're going to go over to Aylesford Park, sometimes known as Victoria Park. It's got two names on my OS map, but I think the Herefordshire and Gloucestershire Canal Trust known it as Aylesford Park, and they own a bit of land there, and a section of the canal there has been restored. So we're going to have a look at that. There's another section that's been restored in Hereford, and we're going to have a look at the plans for the renewal and regeneration of the former canal basin here in Hereford. So why not join me on West Country Wanderings for another canal explore on the Herefordshire and Gloucestershire Canal. Now that behind me here is Hereford Cathedral. I may not have enough time to do an explore of the city centre here today. I'm currently standing in Churchill Park. Now be warned, if you're walking to where the canal's been restored at Aylesford Park, stroke Victoria Park, from what was known as Bars Court railway station, it's quite of a steep climb. So I've climbed up to Churchill Gardens, which is the first park. Now we're going to make our way across there to Aylesford Park, climbing up even further. But you've got a beautiful view of the city centre here with its fantastic cathedral. Also has the Mappa Mundi and a chained library, so I'm sure that's something we'll all explore at a future video here on West Country Wanderings. Today though, I had an interesting journey to get here. I live in Gloucestershire, as you'll probably be aware by now, and there used to be, well, two railway lines, one from Gloucester to Ledbury. Of course that was the one that was built over part of the Herefordshire and Gloucestershire Canal. There was also a direct line between Gloucester and Hereford, combining those two cities. Alas, they're no more. So to get from Gloucestershire, where I live, to Hereford, you have to go on a slightly convoluted route, but it is pretty. You can either go up to Worcestershire Parkway, change there and get one of the trains going from Paddington, Oxford, Worcester down to Hereford, or you can go from Gloucester down to Newport in South Wales and then go on to the Welsh Marches line, which is what I did, going up through Abergavenny to Hereford, and that's how I've arrived here today. So yes, I went through Newport station. I put in a couple of photographs of that now. Never been there before, because it's all electrified there now. You've got the two railway tunnels at the end of it, and I think they've recently, or fairly recently, well, new to me anyway, because I've not been there before, added it on a new platform. It's quite a busy station there at Newport. I think it's perhaps the second or third busiest city in Wales. Anyway, we're not doing Wales today, and that's not in the area I cover. We're going to head over now to the canal, and I'll show you what has been restored here in Hereford. So Aylesford Park's absolutely delightful here. It's got this wonderful compass with the apple, which obviously is the symbol of Herefordshire, because it holds the key to the lot of the county's fortune in terms of the cider and apple juice here. But yeah, we're going to carry on now down towards the canal, which has been restored here at Aylesford Park. So this is the Aylesford Park section of the restored Herefordshire and Gloucestershire Canal. So it's video number 4 here today. This section came to be owned by the Trust in the mid-1990s, and work started on clearance here because it was an old industrial site towards the end of the last century or the end of the last millennium, whichever you prefer. A lot of work has been done here to clear the canal. It has of course been dredged, the trees have been cut back and the weeds have been removed, and they've also installed a small little wharf there, obviously at some future point with plans to perhaps run pleasure craft trips up and down this short section of canal. It's some half a mile long. Obviously there will be plans to continue and cross. The other side of Alresford Park, you also have the Royal National Institute of the Blind's College. They have their own park. I think that is the one that's called Victoria Park. There is no public access to that one. The canal then works its way round, and then there is a short tunnel section where it goes underneath the line, the Welsh Marches line, which heads north out of Hereford up in the direction of Shrewsbury and Crewe. Now in 2010, the Herefordshire and Gloucestershire Canal Trust actually rebuilt the slipway here. I'll include some shots I took of that just now. Really good for wildlife here. Just seen some ducklings go past as well, and I'll include some footage of that. But the reason that slipway is important, of course, because it means that boats can be launched at the canal here to do those little trips up and down, and it is also close to the car park for boat storage, so you've got really good facilities here. Now just also to tell you that it's called Aylstone Park, and in parts of the video I may have called it Aylesfield or Aylesford, but it is actually Aylstone Park here in Hereford. Now while I'm here at Hereford, just to tell you a little bit, a recap about the history of this Herefordshire and Gloucestershire Canal. It all started with an Act of Parliament, as canals and railways often do, and that happened in 1791. By 1793, they had already completed 3.5 miles of the canal out of Gloucester, connecting it to the River Severn, up from Over, which you'll see in my Lassington Wood video. It's not actually one of my restored sections. We will be revisiting Over again in a future video because there's an extensive restored section there which we haven't actually covered yet. So it continued on there. By 1795 it actually then had got as far as Newent, but then the problems really began because in the winter of 1795 there were severe storms, and a lot of the work that had already been completed was washed away, and it had to be restarted again. In 1796, the first of the canal's many financial woes began because they'd actually budgeted for just £100,000 to build a canal from Gloucester right all the way through to Ledbury, which was the first section. However, when they got to Oxenhall, needing that tunnel, of course, which we have covered in videos 2 and 3, they estimated the cost of doing the tunnel alone to be 100,000. Of course, that 100,000 was on top of what they'd already spent getting the canal thus far. But with the shareholders, they actually managed to raise it, and the canal was completed in 1798, just 1 mile south of the town of Ledbury on the Ross-on-Wye road. In 1827, a clerk, one Stephen Ballard, was appointed to the company, and just 2 years later he submitted a financial plan to get the canal finished through to the town of Ledbury, which it did a few years later, well, many years later. It wasn't until the 1840s, I put in the exact date below, but it was because of his efforts that the canal finally reached Ledbury, and there it was able to finally to do some useful work connected to a small coal yard, and there was a wharf that extended across Ledbury to the other side to then move the coal up and down from Gloucester along the Severn shipway there up towards the town of Ledbury. Now the canal was then completed further on into Hereford, which of course was the original plan in stages between 1842 to 1845, when there was then a large canal basin built here in Hereford, and the purpose behind that was to encourage more trade because of the people storing grain, feeds for the agricultural community that were required for growing the crops and fertilise, that sort of thing. That was where they were hoping that the trade was going to come from, and also exporting obviously the apples, potatoes and that sort of thing. But sadly the trade never materialised, and the canal found itself mired in financial woes. '1880 was the last complete business year for the Herefordshire and Gloucestershire Railway, and it closed the end of that year. And in fact in 1881 construction started, converting parts of the canal bed to form the new Ledbury to Gloucester railway line. Now sadly just west of the park, we're heading now towards in the direction of the city centre, the former canal bed lays buried here. There is just an indentation, it looks like a ditch, but sadly no more because of the industrial estate over on that side. Excuse the traffic noise behind me. The other side of this road is where the former Hereford Canal basin lay. And this bit here, between that house there, is Widmarsh Bridge. I'll include some photographs of that. There is planning permission to rebuild that area, which allows for future expansion of the canal here through Hereford, because they're planning to build some new student accommodation and some ancillary buildings alongside the former line of the canal. There is a joinery works, and I'll include a photograph of that as well, so you can make out where the route of this actually went. And then it would have, well, this road that's in front of me, and I'll do a shot of that in a second, wasn't actually here obviously when the canal was here. Went straight in front of me into the former basin, which lies just ahead. So yes, the other side of that road there, just beyond that tree, is where the canal basin was once here in Hereford. Obviously this is not a restored section as yet, but I'm led to believe from the website anyway, and I haven't seen it as yet, that there is a section which has been restored a little bit further down that way towards Morrison's. So we're going to have a look at that next. Well, I think this is a first here on West Country Wanderings. I talked to you on the edge of a retail park. Wren's Kitchens, Curry's there, and Carpet Right car park there. Reason I'm doing that is because I'm on a footbridge above what would become the restored section of the Herefordshire and Gloucestershire Canal here in Hereford. Just there is a road bridge which was put in 2000. And thankfully the planners that put that road bridge in, they could have put a lower in, made space for the canal to be restored. This section, in this part of the city of Hereford. So it's good to see that they've done some advanced planning, and then this section could be restored. Together with that section we saw at Widmarsh, and also a new revised canal basin, because they couldn't actually fit it in where it is now because of the infrastructure around it. And of course you've got that new road station approach going up to Barscourt railway station. But it is still possible to get this canal connected and reopened once more here in Hereford. Well, from here in the centre of Hereford, near this busy roundabout and retail park, that's it for West Country Wanderings for today on part 4 of the restored sections of the Herefordshire and Gloucestershire Canal. There will be another video coming up on the Herefordshire and Gloucestershire Canal in the not too distant future. I'll probably be heading down to Malswick. If not there, then I'll be going back to look at the section at Over in more detail, and also Lantony Quay and the lock there, which has also been restored as well. I hope you enjoyed it today. There will be other canal videos. I'll be going back to do part 9, can you believe, part 9 update on the Stroudwater and Thames Severn Canal, as that towpath opens underneath the main Midland Railway bridge between Birmingham and Bristol at Stonehouse. That'll be coming up within the next week to 10 days here on the channel. There'll also be railway ones if that's your sort of thing, and Cotswold walks and much else besides, including bits and pieces from Devon and Cornwall, including a trip to Totnes Castle in Devon. So if that's your sort of thing, please consider subscribe Thank you for watching today. Take care of yourselves, look after yourselves, and I hope to see you on West Country Wanderings again very, very soon. All the best for now. Cheers. Goodbye.